crybaby bitch. Like, why are you being a crybaby bitch? And so I swear to God, when you watch that collab with Sneako and Tate, every time Sneako looks at the tiles, because Andrew Tate is saying, pay attention to what Tate is saying. It's almost I had no idea that me and Tate are so alike until I saw him in a room with Sneako. Now I see what you guys were saying because I've always seen the differences, but Tate and Zherka sound exactly the same in front of Sneako. Like that when they start talking, Sneako looks at the tiles and feels like he's a less masculine force, or just he feels weak or he feels exhausted or drained or something like that. And I came into consciousness when I saw holy when Tate laughed at him, you want to talk to girls? As in just go fuck them, bro. I was like, that's exactly what I would say. And holy Sneako's actually a Democrat. Like I'm still, you guys we told you. But it's so funny to me that's like Tate cannot get along with Sneako because Tate is a lot like me. A lot like you guys, very 0% Democrat, which makes me think that even Myron dislikes Sneako. Like deep down, if you went searched Myron's heart, you'd pull out Myron saying, "This guy's a crybaby." You know what I mean? If you really, but Myron's too polite for that. But I'm like, okay, so he's been banned from 109 friendships. I've never in my life given someone a longer benefit of the doubt. How the is Andrew Tate turning on your dad is turning on you now? Your red pill dad? And when I read the comments like, "Oh, he threw Sneak on the bus," I'm like, "Yeah, it was pretty bad." Then I watched the other clip. I haven't even watched that footage yet. I feel evil that I'm not reacting to this, bro. Someone in LA, bring me a PC and I'll react with you guys. Because never meet your heroes. First of all, I remember telling Sneako, "Hey, be careful about making Andrew Tate your hero, bro. You got to be your own hero." And we got in a big argument, and everyone commented Zherka is jealous of Tate. And I'm really thinking to myself, you don't individuate having heroes. I don't. If you ever saw Zherka say, "This guy's my hero," I think you guys should unfollow me. Be like, yo, he's not on. Zherka's not on his own path. He's on. Oh my God, Zherka's taking his shahada. So what the fuck is Zherka doing? The man that made him Muslim said he's a crybaby bitch. Like, dude. And some of you guys are gonna be like, aren't you meant to defend Sneako right now because he's on your side? He is on our side. He is on the right side. It's just he pulls out the jester maxing more than anyone. Like Sneako is the god of making everyone into a jester. Andrew Tate looks like a high level comedian right now, right? Just go watch what he said. It's shocking to me that you steal something with your buddies and you guys are all in on the sin, so you guys form a stronger bond. You guys play high in the club, so you guys should get bonded by that trauma that the city is canceling you, and it's over. This is hardcore, right? This is very different from being canceled on the internet. This is a step, a, a different step in cancellation. It's a huge deal, and it's so funny because Sneako's like those Muslims. I'd say he's a good Muslim compared to most Muslims because of, he does the rituals, he does what he's supposed to do with that. But he's also addicted to meeting strippers at nightclubs. So it's so funny that the whole city banished him. It's like God is telling him, you're done. You cannot do this moral character online and go to these clubs with whores. You're done. Zherka can do it because he's honest about it. You're banished from every whore spot. And here's the difference from Sneako and Zherka. I'm never seen in nightclubs. I've never. If people want to party with me, they know exactly. Get Zherka penthouse, bring the girls there. The maximum we'd go to the bar downstairs in the lobby. We don't even leave the hotels. And so that's like some rich that old people do, right? Where old people are afraid to go to clubs. For me, it's all about if you're going to the club for the women, simulate the club at the hotel with the influencers, and it's much better than actually going to the club, unless it's some last minute fish you have to fry. You know, you got to find some girls, which I don't believe in last minute. I think you waste your Fridays and Saturdays if you do that. Um, and I'm shocked that Sneako, someone who's addicted to nightlife, not that he's like a clubbing guy, but he's addicted to what's happening Friday and Saturday. You know, whereas me, I can easily get lost with one girl in a hotel and read my book and miss out on a Saturday or Sunday. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I can party, or then a few months later, I can, for a few months straight, I can avoid Fridays and Saturdays completely because it's not serving my soul. So I've always been like an intuitive thing. If you invite me, Sneako's not like that. He's these types of guys that mark on the calendar every day of it. He's highly extroverted. He marks on the calendar every day of his life where he should be Friday and Saturday, and he's never missed one opportunity. I'm not saying he spends time at the club. I'm saying he always has to check in. You know, those guys who have to check in, see what's happening in the club. He's got like that fresh network energy. Seiko's like addicted to network. And so to see the worst thing happen to an extrovert, because remember, pussy is his motivator. Like it, and you know that's normal. Like we men, we like, you know, do never repress your sexuality. It's so dangerous, right? But also don't get dominated by it where you're making videos saying you're like the moral arbiter of the covenant, and then you're, you know, running around with whores. And it's, I love the clips of Sneako just rubbing himself against that woman's back. And Clav looks so cool because Clav's just telling the truth. He's like, yeah, we'll get some bitch. And the truth is so beautiful. It's like, yeah, yeah, I'm falling right now, you know? And then there's Sneako where it's like, I don't do that. I would never do like that. Zherka, aren't you tired of running around with? This is why people shouldn't follow you. This is why people should follow Islam. Because, what, bro? You're getting karmically fucked over so bad. Any other human, you ban him from all clubs in the city, it's not really that big of a deal. Actually, I think it's super healthy. But for Sneako, it's not. That is like a huge part of his life. And before you think, oh, Zherka, you're so much more wise than him. No, I lived in nightclubs for 5 years, 7 nights a week. So all of that, I'm missing out energy at the nightclub that Sneako has. Mine was just condensed, you know. Mine was condensed. His is spread over 10 years, right, of his life, which is so funny because you ask any former bouncer, they get sick of the club. But you ask someone who just, you know, salt and peppers, goes to the club, just a little bit here, a little bit there. Those people are addicted to, like, Sneako will be going to nightclubs till he's 45. You can just see him in a suit and tie walk in there, and like you could just see it, right? You could just see it. And to me, it's so funny because it's like you're getting banished from the greatest city on earth. And a lot of people are like, you only say that because that city really popped you off. That city, you know how that city absorbs people and makes them go broke? For me, it did the opposite. So I have like all the spirits connected to that city. They're Zherka spirits. And I'm not saying these are always good spirits, right? These spirits also charge you up, make you want to fight, make you want to do crazy shit, make you get stabbed by someone else. I'm not saying that the spirits of the city that, you know, work through humans when they, you know, you land in a city, you feel a different energy. I'm not saying these are like holy energies, right? They're neutral. Sometimes, depending on who you are, they could be bad or good. But all I'm saying is, you adopt the spirit of Miami, like Sneako, and really adopt it in an extroverted manner, right? Super healthy. I think he did a little too much. Um, I'm not talking about playing the song. I'm talking about like he's a little too hooked to the superficial life. Like I think Sneako's an interesting guy because he has religion and the superficial life, which is the middle. The middle is the best part because when you're in the middle, as you age up, as you get older, it's very easy to become a saint. You know, I'm not saying a saint like a real saint. I'm saying to become. If you want to morally upgrade yourself, all those Christians who say you cannot serve two masters, you can't go to the club and be a Christian. those people who build nasty shadows are gonna you're gonna see what happens to them in their when they start their 30s, right? But the guys who don't build shadows, where everyone's like, yo, they're serving two masters, they're Christians and they go to the nightclub, those guys are in the middle. They easily in their 30s and 40s fall into a really moral life, easily. And look at the studies on building a shadow. Look at Jungian studies. It'll scare. It's almost like there's no other devil on earth than repression. It's like repression is like the hidden devil, and it makes you feel holy too. You know, when you repress your sexuality, like Sneako's gay, he represses it or whatever. When you repress that, it builds. So I always say the hidden devil is the shadow. Like that is, and I'm not saying it's that the devil per se. I'm saying you be, you can only worship the devil when you are repressed. I'm telling you, if you understood how saints throughout history achieved sainthood, you would all call them satanic because you'd say their path was so dark before they became a saint. They were so evil. They were so lost. Paul was killing Christians before the vision in Damascus on the way. You would be so hammered, shocked at how you're supposed to play your incarnation, that the first thing you would notice is every single Christian channel that doesn't have that Jungian lens is actually indirectly snaking their audience. And if they're pure of heart, that they're rubbing off a good message. But here's the truth: you can have a good message and fuck your whole life up still. That's why it's so funny to see Sneako not only rejected by his archetypal father, and it's so hilarious because it's like the whole world for the last 10 years of Sneako's life has been saying that he's a bad friend, right? He's a bad friend. And I never understood. I'm like, he's good with me because Sneako and I are so good together. And then I started noticing for a year straight when I didn't go on his streams, oh, you are only friends with him if you do content with him. Which, you know, some people have said to me, Zherka, that doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Um, just because he wants to do content with you doesn't mean he wants to use you or whatever the fuck. And in my head, I'm like, to measure a friend, all you have to do is compare them to mine, Fresh, and Nick Fuentes. Let's say you're me. All you have to do is play the little measuring game. Who here actually thinks Sneako's a better friend to the people around him than those guys? Like, no one believes that. Like, even Fresh haters don't. No one believes that. Like, Sneako's that kid in high school that is so cool with you to use you, and then he talks behind your back. Yeah, I don't like that guy. Yeah, that guy's kind of. And I don't mean like in a mean way. I mean in an advantageous way. Like I remember saying, Sneako, don't make Tate your hero because he's gonna say things you disagree with. You're gonna talk about it on stream, and you're gonna look phony. And so Sneako did that, and Tate's like, "Oh, this guy's a snake. He's talking about." It. That's why you cannot lock in like a, you know, you cannot lock in like a. You can never lock into a this guy is, especially after he didn't have you on his podcast. You flew all the way to Romania and he didn't let you on because he didn't trust you because you've got that, what do we call, I hate saying the Zoomer thing because what am I, 1 year away from a Zoomer? So I identify way more with Zoomers than millennials. I don't know, or maybe I'm just more childish and stuff, but I don't even want to say Sneako Zoomer. He feels like not, yeah, the ADHD is Zoomer energy, but Sneako feels like a boomer. He's legit those boomers that their whole lives with everyone, you know? They just with everyone and then they go, oh, my bad at the end when they're old and 60. Like they've ruined the world. And I'm telling you right now, there is nothing funnier than Andrew Tate throwing Sneako under the bus right now. It's like the perfect mystery drama of how not to be a man. Like Sneako's level of masculinity has shot down 1,000%, 1,000 points lower because of this. Because Tate did not have to throw him under the bus. Matter of fact, I have a rule that if you steal from the government, with your hacker buddies, if you do something against the law, if you play a song at a club, that group you did that crime with, that group, I don't even care if I don't like them. I will back them up because they're in my group. You know, we're in the thick of it together. I'm in the thick of it. Everybody knows. Well, what the is that? It's actually kind of a good song now that I think about it. Yeah. Why did that happen to me? Sneako's a talk. Think about it. He made fun of me for making fun of him for loving Andrew Tate. And now his world is crumbling down. And it's like the I told you so parade. And I'm telling you right now, having a hero makes you a fan. Like the only reason the whole, you know how many things the internet has to attack Zherka on, and I'm still the best. I'm still wanted. Everyone still says you're the best because my advice is good. You can trust my advice. You should not have heroes. If you're anonymous, yeah, that's fun. But I'm talking about when you guys are on your little YouTube channels and you guys say, "This is my guy," it looks gay. It looks weird, and it comes to things like this. You would think that I'd make this space and say, Tate threw Sneako under the bus. That's tr- traitor energy. And no, Tate said it himself. He's throwing Sneako under the bus because he feels like Sneako is a crybaby traitor. For years, he's felt this. So how can you call Tate a traitor if he says he's been betrayed by Sneako for years? It's kind of like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Did he betray the Bloods after they betrayed him and fucked his bitch and did all that astral behavior? Well, I don't know. However you see it, you can see it. But it's like the Spider-Man meme. They're pointing to each other, and they're both like really gay. Like there's something really gay about Andrew Tate being afraid of Adam Sauce. I like Adam. Adam and I did good work. Uh, but Adam's like the one guy in the city that I like. You know, and everyone's saying, "Yo, he's doing the do thing, like he's trying to cancel his own guy." And remember that they invested 100 million, was a $50 million deal into Andrew Tate, so they are PBD is literally linked partnership with Tate, but he's the boss. That's why it looks like a job interview. That's why you get that job interview energy where Tate has to answer to PBD, but not PBD because he doesn't want the backlash. PBD's boys, because Patrick Bet David is, in my opinion, the way he moves politically is genius. Remember when he got all that backlash and all that? I thought he navigated those waters. You know how hard it is to navigate those waters. Well, I'm not saying that dead babies should be happening. I'm saying that we have to look at the whole conflict from both sides. When you say that about dead babies, you know how weird you look to the world. Let's just like not billionaires, just regular people watching that are not getting paid by anyone, right? They don't have sponsors. They don't have just regular people are like, yeah, that's dead kids in Palestine. Like it's all over my feed. What are you talking about? PBD somehow survived that level of scrutiny from his audience, and his audience is like uh, the beautiful right wing, not the regular right wing, not the Trump right wing. PBD's audience is a lot more right than you think. Right, I think it's Vinny. Maybe I got the name wrong, but Vinny secretly always loved Nick Fuentes. Anytime the name was brought up years ago, you see Vinny perk up, and lately he started showing it. Right, he. That's why I like PBD. He keeps Vinny there to counterbalance Adam's more left wing energy. And well, shouldn't say left wing. He's more like of a hawk. He's more of a But when I say left wing energy, I'm trying to say gay energy. Like, Andrew, why did you play a song about freedom in the country founded by freedom? In the country that died for freedom? Like, the only thing America is known for is freedom. but you're playing a song at a club. You're expressing freedom in the wrong way. And could you imagine the founding fathers? They would be shocked that the world is behaving like this. They'd say, I think we're going to go back to conquering this disordered world because we are with the spirit of God, the spirit of freedom, right? Remember that the founding fathers, everything you've been told about them is a lie. They weren't Christians. They were active Christians, meaning an active Christian is someone who's so morally advanced they stop talking about religion and start doing genuine works in the world that shape everything. Like genuine, you have freedom of thought. That's the most important part of the Constitution. Say whatever you want. Period. What about the Bible? Nope. Just that. Freedom. Because it all comes, this is all from Scripture. This is all from Scripture. That all of Scripture is about you becoming a free being that goes to the Christ, not some kind of slave. "Oh, I'm afraid of God, so I." That is the antithesis of what genuine Christianity is. That is the opposite. That's why when you meet a really good Christian with a suit and tie, your first instinct is there's something missing in this guy, right? And you always notice because you bring up Palestine, and that Christian usually says, "Those kids had to die. You see that God promised them that land." And you're like, "Whoa, but you're like the nicest guy I know. You're pure of heart. How the is Zherka at a stronger level of conscience than you? You know how much money Zherka could have made going the Zio path? Holy the podcasts I'd be on. You guys would be like, it's all the establishment right wingers, all the big ones. They would have loved me too. But I still remember, I'm like, you cannot pop off without Nick. Uh, Not that Nick's perfect or anything. I'm saying that Nick speaks his mind. Andrew Tate does not. I tried to tell you guys this years ago. You said, I don't want to listen to that. Nick is a nerd. Tate is more like you, Zherka. You should align with Tate more. And I'm like, you're gonna see some crazy. You're gonna see some backpedaling. And when a man lives for Bugattis and yachts, they fold quick. You know, when a man lives for adventure, street fights, and total chaos, nothing can make me fold. When a man lives for yachts and all that money, they can fold so fast. I don't want the headache. I want to go to the Miami nightclubs. We're already with 38-year-old Olgas. These women are unattractive. Imagine Tate with $100 million in Miami saying, why is you know how thing you guys don't know about influencers and Hollywood guys is they see every comment, right? They pretend they don't, but they see every single comment, and especially if the upvoted ones. So Tate can pretend like he doesn't see it, but he sees all the posts, right? And that's how the world works. And by the way, I think it's really smart to pretend you don't see it. There's so many people who talk shit about me. I genuinely, I don't know who they are. If you ask me on an interview, who are these people? I'll be like, I don't know. I will literally bold face lie just to not give them the clout, right? Like you do not want to keep feeding, like riding on your coattails. So it's smart. I'm not saying he's like afraid. I'm saying it's smart. That's how you play it. It's actually very stupid if you say I'm real as fuck and I'm responding to 10. No, no, you have a you're supposed to respond to. Just one. You don't have 10. That's scattered thinking will always leave you broken. That's stupid. I'm telling you right now, I'm starting to like Tate. And I'm not just saying this so he does the Misfits fights. I'm saying that too, but I'm saying that would be great. But I'm saying I'm starting to like Tate because when he threw Sneako under the bus, I'm like, that is the greatest. My heart wants Sneako to evolve, and that's the greatest thing you can do to someone. A lot of people think calling Sneako and comforting him right now is the Christian way. It's not. Sneako needs whatever is happening to him. He is extremely off balance in his friendship life. How Gary used to say, "Oh, you used me." You know how everyone says Sneako uses you. And which is weird because you could make the argument that it's not his inner man. It's more like he grew up on YouTube as a child. Did you really think he's not going to be a fan? Like, what the are you? If someone says to me, "Hey, I'm a YouTuber since 10 years old. I've never worked another job," it's almost like they're saying, "I don't have the attention span for friendship." And a lot of people are like, "How come you were never offended with Sneako? You know, you talk about him online, but you're never distant from him like that." And I'm like, to me, it's not offensive. You know why Sneako's so offensive to Gary and these people? Because these people are trying to network for their business. I'm not. I don't give a about that. You know, that's or what Yassine said. He said Zherka Sneako's at 3,000 viewers until you got on his stream. Then he stayed at 11,000, and you became his only guest because he doesn't have repeated guests. He'll only have a guest one or two times. But I was his repeated guest for like months, and which was smart. Obviously, if you're at 11,000 viewers on Rumble after getting banned, that's you're gonna Zherka. Do you want to come over? I've got some. I've got some. And you know, those are great streams. When Sneako's got Tate energy, Zerk energy, Red Pill energy, he's really cool. But he, you know, you, if you have an idea, you're the man. If an idea has you, you're a fan. And you know, it starts off cool until boom, the red pill seizes Sneako hard. And then it starts morphing him because Sneako is like a high level spellcaster. He's a changeling. Is there a changeling in Star Wars? Yeah, he is. His final form, I guarantee you. I said this first week of meeting him. His final form will be transgender, Sneako. That arc is coming. Don't be shocked when you see the purple lipstick and all that. That arc will be happening. I guarantee you. All the archetypes, with all the spiritual archetypes that flow through us, he has fit every single mold. Do you really think he's going to allow the transgender archetypal energy to slip through his fingers? And it's not curiosity, it's trending. It's what's trending. Transgenderism will only trend more in the future. You know that because Trump will be suppressing it. That means it's going to expand even more. Sneako will get more and more trans as he's augmented with cybernetic technology. He might even be the first cyborg transgender person we see that he is. What's chat saying? Let me turn it on. I can see chat from my eyeballs because I did a biohack with, he's going to be just like when the androids came, the android saga. So the androgenics, the claviculars, right? We first had the Saiyan saga with Zherka, Tate, all these hairy guys. Then we had the android saga with my name's Clavicular. Are you a whore? Do you want to go to my penthouse with me? My neurodivergence will not stop me from penetrating you, whore. And he's the bitch as an android. As an android, he's as an android. So we've had the Saiyan saga, we've had the android saga, and now we're gonna have the transgender saga, where Sneako challenges Andrew Tate to a boxing match. Because he's like, I survived with Strickland, so I guess Tate's next on the plate. And they want to give, they'll give me $3 million. They will give Sneako nothing for that boxing match, and he'll take it like a good little boy. Isn't Sneako bigger than Zherka? And not for that fight. Sneako's bigger than Zherka, but not for that fight. Who would you guys rather see? Sneako's gonna go in there in a dress, in a skirt, and pigtails, just like some freak of nature, and he's gonna start boxing with his dad. This is initiation science. He wants to be initiated by his father. He never accepted me, father. Ah, this is what Andrew Tate would be like. Your uncle has gotten to you, Zuko. And Steve will be like thinking he'll have flash memories of Zherka and be like, yes, he has. Well, don't you want to stay a little longer and find out what happened to your mother? On the day of Black Sun, and Sneaky will be like, what happened that night? And then it'll be like, "Dunga dung, chaka, dung, chaka, dung." Yo, Agni Kai. Whoosh. They'll be shooting flames from his transgender hands, and Sneako will fight his father in an Agni Kai in front of the world before he gets banished by Miami to search for the Avatar, which is Nick Fuentes. He has to go search for Nick Fuentes, bring him back to Miami, and he has to bring him back to Fire Lord Andrew Tate. And Uncle Iroh or Uncle Zherka would just be like, "No, Sneako, you must not do that. You must not do that." And Sneako's like, "I have to be the blue spirit. I have to put this mask on." And he goes transgender. And I go, "I guess I will go travel all of the world with Sneako to find the Avatar so you can restore your honor." And Sneako he'll have that look like, what's trending? I better not look upwards. Oh my God, it's the Avatar. Sneako starts shaving his head bald, and now he's tattooing a arrow on his skull, and now he's like, "I want to be the Avatar." No, no, Sneako, you must not do that, Zuko. You must fight the Avatar and bring him back to your father. But even that won't bring you perfect peace and silence. You have to look from within. And be like, "But I don't give a fuck about your medieval Christianity. I just want to work for Mr. Beast again." And Sneako will grow tits, literally grow tits, just like inwardly he has tits. We already know he has tits inwardly. And the whole time I'm thinking like, wait a minute, this guy's a fat. Like, you're not. You should be attacking Taylor. Why are you throwing me under the bus? It's time to fight. I hate all these people. There's so many people like Zherka. You love Napoleon. That means you are convinced that you go into a fight. Even you go into a fight only if you know if that you're gonna win. I'm like, dude, I love Napoleon, but I am not Napoleon. I love Vegeta. I am not Vegeta. I love certain people. I am not them. I'm still Zherka. When Sneako loves Tate, he becomes Tate. That's the problem. You cannot lose the forest for a tree, my dude. That's why Napoleon would never enter a street fight if he knows he's gonna lose, if he knows he's medicated, if he knows this is not the day to do it, but it'll get the most amount of views. He would never do that, right? We're talking about free spirits that are like, it's time to go to war now, even though all the odds are against me, because that's how you evolve the fastest. And people don't understand that it's like, if Zherka followed Napoleon's path, he would be so calculated that Zherka would go to war, correct? No. He would turn into a thinking type that plans for war and never actually goes to war. You know, most people who plan for war never actually set sail. They never actually go to war. Yeah, I'm sure there's a middle path to this that you guys could all point at, and I'd agree with you guys. But I'm saying that you should know what part of your life you're at and what is the next card to play, you know? And when you have a hero in life, like Andrew Tate's your hero, you don't have cards to play at all. You just become this thinking type that's obsessed with deepening the mystery of who is Andrew Tate and how can I become him. Well, Sneako became Andrew Tate. You know, he took a shahada. He did all that uh low level consciousness where what is he going to pray to a fucking cube? He's doing all that and it's funny because he feels safe, the whole internet ganging up on him. At least the Muslims are backing me up. He had that Sonny Faz realization that like, hey, I get a few more likes because there's so many of them in the world. And it's like they're sitting on camels, dude. They're literally liking your posts from their laptop on top of a camel. Okay. By the way, if you're not entering the world to go seek out white people and befriend them, what is going to happen with your incarnation? I don't know what the people are. What is wrong with people? Do you know how many immigrant friends you're gonna have just naturally? That just naturally happens. You know how many black friends you're gonna have just naturally? You have to actively seek out your white friends because they're so polite, they're not gonna push themselves into your life. They can easily fade into the background, easily, because they don't wanna be pushy, right? They're very soft like that nowadays. They're super, super one-sided on their psyche. And so you have to actively seek these people. When you got friends like Tate, bro, that'll throw you under the bus. That was in front of his boss, PBD. Patrick is like, Tate, what do you have to say? You're in the principal's office. Are you going to do what Zherka did on the Saucecast, where we've never seen higher levels of toxic? Or are you going to go on the back foot? And Tate's like, well, I'm used to the back foot because of Chase. Which, by the way, I mean, when I make fun of him, it's still awesome that he fought. You know, I think the coolest thing Andrew Tate said was, I had an adrenaline dump from not fighting for 10 years, and so I just told my coach, yeah, I have to get my ass kicked for 7 rounds. And I thought that was the coolest thing Andrew Tate's ever said in his career. There is nothing more bad on earth than telling your coach, I don't have it, but I'm not quitting. I'm staying in there for 7 rounds. I'm getting my ass kicked. There's nothing, literally nothing more than getting good at a losing battle. Because in life, holy shit, are you going to be thrown in that? You don't know. When you look at how many wins humans have in life, it's like you can count them on a broken hand, maybe two or three. You look how many losses a human has in their incarnation, and the ones, especially the ones you choose to forget, it's almost like billions of L's accumulate into what. And I never talk about this I've never even mentioned this ever in my life because I think it's the worst way to inspire someone. You know, if a human actually understood how many L's turn into one W, you know, if you're an idiot, you go, yo, that's inspirational. You sound like Michael Jordan. But if you're a smart guy, you go, yo, what the? That's so unfair, you know. And I hate people who talk about fairness but never focus on how many l's turn into one w, because there's so many channels that inspire people saying that. I've always been the opposite. If you tell me 1 billion l's turns into one career w and your life is fixed, to me that's the worst messaging to the youth ever. Imagine telling a 16-year-old Zherka, hey, if you fail 1 billion times, you get one win, not an eternal win. You go back to failing. What the? It's like, that's why I hate self improvement, motivational slop. Like, if you're not talking about spirituality with improvement, it's really dull and dry inwardly. You don't know what the fuck's happening anymore. You're like, what the? Or it's even more terrifying. You get the win and jump off a bridge. Have you seen those guys that are like, oh, now what? So that's why Sneako's whole psyche, which I would say he's extremely inwardly dry. Not as bad as Tate, because Sneako still has ritual in his life, right? Ritual's cute. It's the rhythm of ritual is insanity. You don't know until you have a prayer life, and then you cannot go back. And if you're really young, you don't know what I mean. But I'm telling you right now, Sneako has never regretted anything more than sucking off Andrew Tate. Like, bro, you're bowing to him. You know when Sneako was praying, taking his shahada on his knees? When he was praying with his head on the ground, he was thinking of Andrew Tate. He was worshiping. When I said he worshiped the red pill, I didn't want to leak it, but he was literally laying down saying, you are my God, and Islam will be my instrument. And I will forge a new content that will make me finally feel powerful, Father. And to me, it's like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, Zherka, are you going to defend the right wing that they played Heil Hitler? And it's like, no, I'm not going to defend them. Because if you, by the way, if you're defending them, you make the right wing look bad. You're not supposed to defend. You're supposed to troll and say, well, we can't even play music in the club anymore. Because if you defend it, it actually looks to the world like there's sides having a racial war. That makes our side look horrible. You're supposed to say, wow, no freedom of speech. Those kind of sarcastic comments are the most important. The least important is saying you Jew. That's you Jew. Those comments don't help us, you know. And before you think, damn, I already wrote that, it's like, bro, I get it, you know. If I was live and this was happening to me, I'd be like, you Jew, you know. I could get racist immediately. I'm not even a racist person, but anytime I'm on the back foot, it's like, oh, you're forcing me into a fight. Okay, let's fight. What the fuck? And so I think, remember, sarcasm is the most powerful tool in Times Square. Today's Times Square is Twitter. And by the way, if you don't have a Twitter, if you just listen to these and you don't have an account, you're not active on Twitter, ask anyone. Ask anyone. Ask your family members, your brothers, your sisters. Anyone who has a Twitter will tell you life sucks without Twitter. Holy shit. The only apps on earth you need to change your life is YouTube and Twitter. Everything else will have you scrolling through porn. Instagram is so demonic. It's I'm God. Thank God I've been banned off Instagram. Could you imagine how many distractions there are on Instagram? You cannot even control that feed. Whereas Twitter, you can control the feed. There's a, you know, it's Times Square. People talk about what's happening in the world. So, and you don't have to be good at Twitter, but you have to be active on Twitter. Like, Twitter is the number one priority for 2026. Everything else should be, all your little video games on your phone, everything else should be deleted. Twitter should be your app, right? You see Brian Johnson post about health, you should absorb that knowledge. Oh, this is interesting. Look at the blood work. You see a businessman post about business. Oh, you take that idea, boom, you have a YouTube channel, you make $10 million. That's how you should see the world. Like, who are these Twitter accounts? Who should I follow? Who should I emulate? But if you copy, like I'm Sneako copying Andrew Tate, dude, you changed your religion. And it's so funny that Sneako said, I did that for Malcolm X. Malcolm X didn't do, he was against Arabs. He's a, if Sneako, I remember telling Sneako, I'm like, I know this goes against the whole right wing, but if you go that Islamic path, the only way you look like a is if you're in a suit and tie and you are for black power. That looks awesome. Like, a lot of people don't realize, if I was black, if I was African, yeah, I would support white people in a way where I have them in my circle enough to improve my life, improve my thinking, feeling, and willing, and all that, right? Absorb their tendencies. That's healthy. But I would be black power still. And a lot of people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, I would. If I was a black guy and Malcolm X spoke on a radio, I would literally, that would be the new Nick Fuentes for me. Are you kidding me? So I was like, you know, Sneako, it would look best if you did it like that. But if you do it because you want the quantity, he wants all those billions of Muslims. You know, he thinks of it like as a business, I guess. If you do it that way, you're gonna look in a green dress. Like, you're gonna look literally. If you went the Malcolm X way, you would have. You know what's funny is, if he went the Malcolm X way, I think a lot of groypers would still be like, "Oh, this is good content." But bro, going the Arab way, all the whole red pills like, we don't fuck with this shit. We don't fuck with this shit. You know, it's like when Nick was sucking them off a bit. I messaged Nick. I texted him like, "Hey, don't suck those guys off. You're gonna see that they're gonna turn on you quick. Stay on your mission." And Nick's messaging what this week was America first. They don't give a about you third worlders. And I'm like, okay, he's back. There's the Nick. That is the Nick we subscribe to. Not this, we gotta team up with Muslims and Christians. It's like, have your own people's back first and do good in the world, right? We're not need everyone running around each other. All of this Democrat disorder, we're sick of that disorder, that immigrant disorder. We're tired of it. Everyone's sick of it, right? But Sneako turning on the channel and seeing Andrew Tate say he played the song. Bro, you are at levels of beta male we've never seen in history before. Remember, Sneako's a guy who was getting bullied and ignored viciously offline by Aiden Ross for years. And he was shocked that Zherka says, fuck you, Aiden, and Aiden would platform him. He was shocked. He's like, how do you do that? How do you maintain respect and work with the... He was literally shocked because he had to like sniff Aiden's ass and following him around for a long time. He had to guilt trip him into friendship and all that. And then finally, I said, Sneako, instead of these 2 years of you licking Aiden's ass, I want to teach you a secret. And I'm only doing this because I'm your friend, because this isn't something I want you to get used to. Take Demi from him, and he will be your best friend. I know a coward when I see one. Take that girl from Aiden Ross, and he will become your best friend. He will return all the favors you gave him tenfold. And Sneako just looked at me like a stupid dog. And he's like, oh, that's the only way I get respect from that little. He didn't say it, right? And I turned off the call because I don't want Sneako even talking about it. They're friends. Just let him ponder with that idea. Within that same week, Aiden platform Sneako 10 times in a row. They became best friends. And I said, dude, if you don't know how to move in this industry, these snakes will choke you and kill you, right? And I'm not the kind of guy that Zherka. How do you describe Zherka in one phrase? Zherka fights fire with fire. If he's in a manipulative industry, getting dominated by it, he's not just going to go to war on the streets and all that. He will sit down in a hotel room and say, "Where is your heart? Demi sucks. Is your heart? I'm going for Demi." And I've gotten so many collabs where I go, "You don't want to platform me? Here's your ex-wife, and I've messaged her, and I want to talk to her about something offline." And people go, "Holy shit, this guy is a cocaine addict. Like he's going after every 20 years of my life with a woman. Why is he doing that? And why is he not platforming it? Why is he doing it in the shadows like some ninja? Why is it fucking with me? Hey, Zherka, you want to come on my podcast?" Yeah, and then on the podcast we talk about how the wife is crazy, and I go, "Yeah, she is crazy. You're cooler. You're cooler than your wife." And they go, "Oh, Zherka doesn't like her anymore," and they get relieved. And I go, "Damn, the way you have to navigate in these industries is fucking insanity." And the whole time I'm thinking like I have to morally degrade myself on percentage, which is horrible. You should never do that. But you're gonna find yourself in such. You're gonna be taking care of a child and you're going to be wah, wah, the baby's crying, and then your workplace is going to start snaking you, and you go, if I don't threaten them like Donald Trump, I'm going to lose this job and look like an idiot. I won't be able to feed my kid out. This world, if you don't have Trump energy in this world, if you're a good little Christian, I'm you're supposed to be evolving into a good Christian, but don't think you're missing out on every opportunity because you don't have a sword. And here's the thing, and Aiden Ross is not going to fight you on the street. He's going to snake you from behind the scenes. So some of these guys you can't even fight with your hands and get it squashed. You can't do that. Most of the people who fuck you over, it's not going to be physical altercation. I guarantee you that. The good old days was awesome for that, because by definition, having a fight with someone makes them your best friend. It forces friendship because when two souls hit each other in the face, and the body is the soul too, right? It's all one. Think of it like that. When two souls damage each other's souls, they bruise up each other's souls. It's such a violation to the Lord that they are forced to come together in a beautiful way, not forced like out of compulsion, forced like their inner being cannot stand that they did so vile. They want to make it right. That's why humans become friends after a fight. That's why fights are actually very healthy. It means you guys are off balance. You have to get into the middle, right? You and your wife, you and whatever. Fights are extremely. I read scripture on temperament, anger, and fighting. It's the opposite of what you've been told. In scripture, it says, if you're angry, be angry. Don't lose character. Don't become someone else. Don't, oh, I became Andrew Tate because I don't have my own brain. I'm not Sneako, right? I'm telling you, everything you know about religion is wrong. The more you delete that stuff, when scripture says be angry, you'll notice I've never in my life noticed that part of scripture. Why have I never stopped to think, why is scripture saying be angry? Why are those words there? And why does it sound like blasphemy? It's because you've been programmed against your own nature, you idiot. Your deeper inner nature. It went from funny to sad. Like, Sneako, you are everything that is wrong with the Zoomer addicted to attention. I think in the clip he said, Sneako said, I don't do things for attention. I only talked about that because it was trending. In the same sentence. I'm butchering that a bit. How did he word it? He said it was relevant to talk about, so I spoke about it when it was relevant to talk about it. I pray you guys all have a friend like Sneako where, some of the worst people are the best people too. Some of the worst people are also the most fun people to be around. But you guys are all telling me you gotta attack Tate for doing that to Sneako, and I'm like, no. We knew Tate would fold. Is this the first time Tate? Yeah, I'll tell you how weak Tate actually is. He once folded and apologized to the world after the Bugatti. Think about that. Zherka did not fold to the world without a Bugatti. Even when I was dead broke, go back to when I pissed away all my money, 2022, 2023. Go back to those days, you'll be like, well, Zherka doesn't fold and he has almost nothing left. Tate folds with $100 million in a Bugatti. And now he's folding again. Do you know how much of a you have to be a slave to money to if I give anyone listening right now $100 million, do you know that's like you standing up from your Leonardo DiCaprio yacht with your whores and all that money, you stand up and say, I am sorry. You know how hard you'll be laying down in the sun saying, I'll say sorry later. I'll say sorry later. There's no urgency. If you have to go to work, you're gonna say sorry. But dude, you give any human, I'll even go as far as to say, if you give a human $1 million, a lot of humans will be like, all right, let's go. A lot of you guys will go party. They say, go apologize for this. You'd be like, okay, later, jet ski, jet ski. It's like the most bad thing is that free financial freedom thing, and Tate doesn't have it. How are you financially free and you're not free? That makes no sense to me. That makes no, and Tate's probably thinking like, I want to make more money. And I used to think it's because he's afraid of going to prison if the world turns against him. But it is a money thing because why would he take on a Chase Demore fight? They offered him 50 million for that, and they said, there's the pink gloves, and this is what's gonna happen. And Tate's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know. That's like what people pay you. That's what prize fighting is you're watching the preparation unfold. Right? You're watching all the training in a couple of minutes unfold, all the expression of the soul, the willing, the metabolic limb system. That's what we want to see. Now, if we go back in time to 2023, and I'm telling Sneako, hey man, you look like because I would always be a nice guy, I'd be like whispering it, be whispering, I'd be like, you don't want to say that, bro. You don't want to, because I could tell Sneako doesn't speak his mind. He just, what's trending? Dude, transgenderism is trending. What is next on the plate for you, Sneako? Like, be cutting your dick off is trending. This is a Muslim who for years looked direct. I love when you could tell Sneako's not lying. You could tell Sneako's lying because he's not blinking. He's the greatest liar I've ever seen because he like convinces himself first or some shit. But he'll look deadpan at the camera and say, Zherka runs around with whores like a degenerate. This is why you guys should follow me. And Islam is the truth. And I'm dating Zina, a stripper. Except you don't hear that last part.